What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank y'all very much for tuning in. Really appreciate each and every one of you. We just finished up an insane Anaheim one over the weekend. I was in attendance. I had no choice. But for today's video, we're going to break down some of the crazy incidents that happened in the opening round of Supercross 2026, starting with the super scary and Gnarls Barkley, Justin Barcia, Malcolm Stewart Supercross triple crash that brought out the red flag. We'll go over Hayden Deegan and the cross jump national with Cameron McAdoo that took Cam out of the Anaheim 1 opener. Then we'll get into Cooper Webb and Webb and Plesinger and the takeout that went down in the heat race. Was it intentional? We had some wild four-wide action in the opening rhythm section that turned into a close call between Ken Roczen and Chase Sexton in the opening 450 heat race. Then we'll go into Chase Sexton almost going into Indonesia and turning down for what on the bridge jump. Last but not least, I have a little footage of El Hombre and RJ Hampshire going at it, with RJ ending up on the deck. But before we go into all that stuff, you guys know the deal. Got to give a huge thank you to my channel sponsors. They're the reason we're out here. Huge thank you to ASV Inventions, home of the Unbreakable Lever, Sirius Studio, who has some sweet merch worn by myself, Trey Kennard, and other people that are way more of a legend than me, and the DesignLabCo.com. They've got some great designs in their lab at their co, and if you have any graphic needs, they can take care of you. And can't forget about my newest channel sponsor. Huge thank you to Simplify. They're an automatic booking and payment system for solo entrepreneurs. Whether you're a moto coach or hell, whatever you are, it'll definitely make your life a lot easier and your business a whole lot more efficient. And in regards to all these awesome companies supporting the channel, if you guys buy from them, a small portion of the sale goes to me. So if you guys support them, you are literally supporting me. I have all my links and discount codes in the video description, and I really hope you guys enjoy today's video. To start off today's breakdown, first of all, we'll get into the very scary Malcolm Stewart Justin Barcia crash over the Supercross triple on lap 1 of the 450 main event. Definitely something you never want to see. Absolute destruction, and it's always one of your biggest fears on lap 1 in Supercross, with a lot of big jumps. Some people double, some people triple. Thankfully, it's not as common as it could be, but every once in a while, some chaos is definitely in the contract. And this incident all started to unfold at the beginning of the prior rhythm section before the Supercross triple. As you can see, we got Malcolm Stewart and Ken Roczen right back there in about the 5, 6, maybe 7 spot at the front of the pack. And if you slow this down as these guys go through this first rhythm section, you can see that Malcolm Stewart is a little bit more standing up and down, getting a little bit more height over these rhythm section jumps, while Ken Roczen, he's using his legs, pushing through, and he gets way more momentum as he gets right alongside Malcolm as they get towards the exit of the rhythm section. Now, if the track went straight, this little side-by-side action really wouldn't be too big of a deal at all, actually typical in the contract. But exiting this rhythm section, the track took a little 40 to 50 degree bend to the left into the Supercross triples. So with these guys being side-by-side and having to set up for a bit of a turn at the exit of the rhythm section with the Supercross triple incoming, as you're going to see here in a second as I let this play, in a total racing incident, you're going to see both Malcolm Stewart and Ken Roczen's lines come right together as they get to the face of the Supercross triple. And this is a bit of a tough one because typically the golden rule is you're not supposed to cross jump, especially not on lap 1. But with that little bend at the end of the rhythm section, it wasn't really a cross jump. They were more just trying to set up for the section. That's kind of how the line just naturally flowed. So like I said, that's what makes it a total racing incident. Despite the fact that Kenny kind of started this thing by pushing through the rhythm section and jumping towards Malcolm, it's definitely not Kenny's fault. He was just following the race line. He was just being super explosive and trying to make some moves on lap 1 like he always does. And I'm not really trying to blame Malcolm either for going from right to left. That was just the race line. He was trying to set up for the triple, and there's a lot going on lap 1. A lot of bikes and not a lot of space. It's one of the things that makes Supercross so dang gnarly, but you can see right as they get to the face of the triple, they almost lock bars, which causes Malcolm to get on the brakes and go for the double rather than the triple. And I know all the keyboard warriors without a clue are out there saying, why'd this idiot double the triple on the first lap, yada yada yada. Well, the clear reason is the fact that he and Ken Roczen almost got into each other right on the face of that jump, and with everything going that fast and having to make these split-second decisions, Malcolm just decided that rather than going ejecto-ceto over a massive Supercross triple, he was going to take his chances on hitting the double and hope everybody behind him saw it. And I actually think he could have gotten away with it, but right here in this picture, you can see that he's looking back, trying to see what's going on behind him, and he sees Justin Cooper. And J. Coop actually had quick reaction time. He followed Malcolm and went for the double, but I can only assume that Malcolm saw J. Coop, thought he was tripling, and panicked, so he decided to swerve a little bit over to the left. Again, a split-second decision, probably not the right decision, but I can't fault the guy because he had to make it literally more on the fly than you could possibly imagine. But off to the left is the poor innocent bystander, Troy Ducati's Justin Barcia. He ended up going for the triple. He thought he had some room, but Malcolm ended up swerving to the left. Justin saw it, and you can see in this picture, he's throwing the kitchen sink at trying to pull that Ducati to the left. He's trying everything he can to try to get himself out of the path of Malcolm's head. But unfortunately for both, at this point, it was way too late. You can see right here, Justin Barcia's back tire is about to dislocate Malcolm Stewart's shoulder right on the spot. Barcia makes impact, and Malcolm just gets blown off the bike like somebody threw a grenade at him. Barcia gets off way worse, lands on Malcolm's shoulder, and goes directly to Indonesia, right right to his head. An unbelievably scary moment in the stadium. I was kind of losing it. I was fearing the worst, but thankfully it looks like he's going to be okay besides concussion, which concussions are not good. Not trying to minimize it, but I feared worse for sure. Luckily he was wearing that Alpine Stars Tech Air airbag. That had to have helped the cause for Barcia. As far as Malcolm Stewart, we know his shoulder was dislocated, so a massive bummer for Mookie. With those shoulder dislocations, you don't know what the damage is until you go get an MRI, so we don't know how long he's out for yet or if he's out at all, but definitely prayers up to Malcolm Stewart and Justin Barcia. Very thankful that it seems like everybody's going to make a full recovery, and I know we're all up in arms about the medical response. I'm definitely bummed on it too. Not what anybody wants to see in this sport when a rider is down and out like that. I don't really want to weigh in too much on a topic I know nothing about. I'm no medical professional. I don't know what goes on down there on the floor, but what I do know, not really any excuse for it to take that long for anybody to get to Bam Bam. Thankfully there weren't any consequences, but definitely a scary deal. I'm sure none of those guys down there are very proud of how that was handled at all, and if I had to guess, they'll definitely use this incident and try to be better in the future, but people do make mistakes, but it's definitely not a good look. Very thankful that everybody seems like they're going to be okay from that one, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to be better. No choice. But that was the big one for the weekend. Next up, now we'll get into Hayden Deegan and Cameron McAdoo and the cross jump that led to Cameron McAdoo crashing out of the 250 main event at Anaheim 1. And I've already seen a lot of comments and internet experts weighing in on this one about how it was a dirty move from Hayden Deegan. And if that was on purpose, that would be a hell of a bold strategy, Cotton, but I don't think it was, and here's why. It all starts in the corner before as Hayden Deegan goes to make a move on Hunter Yoder. Doesn't quite get it done, gives him a little love tap, but then ends up squaring off back towards the line of Cameron McAdoo entering the rhythm section. But as Deegan doubles into the rhythm, you can see he went just a little bit deep, just deep enough to have the suspension bottom out front and rear. And you definitely can't quite see it on TV, but I walked the track afterwards. There were some ruts in those transitions, not big ones, but just enough to pull you a little bit left or right if you jump too deep into them. But that's what's about to happen here as Deegan goes deep and then starts going from right to left, right into the line of Cameron McAdoo. And as a racer, unless you're deaf, you can hear the guy behind you. You know he's there. So right as he took off from going from right to left, Deegan takes a look back, sees McAdoo right there. And that was definitely a look back of, oh crap, this ain't going to be good. Rather than a look back of, oh yeah, here comes the cross jump. Let me make sure I'm cleaning him out in the air. I mean, come on guys. I know danger can get greasy sometimes, but I don't know anybody that could successfully pull off a cross jump takeout besides Grant Langston at Hangtown 2001. But poor Cameron McAdoo had nowhere to go but to jump right into the back of Deegan, and right about here, he's got to be thinking something like this.
Yep, I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
Not good indeed. A hard hit for Cameron McAdoo, and he was down and out of the Anaheim 1 main event, but definitely a heavy hit, and he had to sit there and collect himself for a minute. And you can't win the championship at Anaheim 1, but you can definitely lose it. Unfortunately for Cameron McAdoo, through no fault of his own, I think he ended up losing the championship at Anaheim 1, which is a huge bummer, but luckily for him, he's still got a Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and he's still got the rest of the season to prove himself. As for Deegan, a total racing incident at the National, and on an unrelated note, I don't know if you guys saw the Deegan and Kitchen GoPro, but Hayden DM'd me and called me a clickbait god. I watch their videos all the time. I learned from the best, so I think that was a compliment. Thank you, Hayden. Now we'll switch gears and get into the Aaron Plesinger Cooper Webb 450 Heat 1 crash. A total T-bone stake. That was a Vincident without Vince even being involved. But I'm sure all you guys are wondering on that one, what the hell was Cooper Webb thinking there? And before I even say anything, I gotta give a shout out to James Stewart. That legend called the move perfectly right after it happened. I can't believe how quickly he did a perfect analysis of it. But right here, after they land the bridge, Jorge Prado is trying to make a run up the inside of Cooper Webb heading into the next corner. Coop takes a look over, trying to keep tabs on where Prado is since Prado's on the inside of him. And one thing to note here is that when Coop's looking back at Prado, he is wide open to the stop on a Star Racing Yamaha 450. So when he turns back around, just imagine how fast everything's coming at the guy. But Webb's focus was behind him on Prado rather than ahead of him on AP, and if I had to guess, he probably thought AP was headed outside of the berm so he could bust out that triple step-on out of the next corner. But AP went to the inside, and by the time Coop realized it, he was already committed to the inside as well. Contact was about to be in the contract. And at this point, there was literally nothing that Cooper Webb could do other than realize that he screwed up, brace for impact, and get ready for a crash with Aaron Plesinger. And poor AP, he had some problems earlier in the day that I can't even share with you guys, but this lanky, orangutan-looking son of a gun almost bulldogged his way out of it. The only reason AP even crashed at all is when Webb's front end washed out, it kicked out into AP's rear end, sent him to Swap City, and AP kind of had no choice but to just get boned in this one. So if you trust James Stewart's immediate analysis and my post-race Temu analysis, it definitely wasn't intentional, and if you know the things that I know, it definitely wasn't intentional. AP and Coop are really good friends, they have been for a long time. Hell, I even saw them walking the track together that morning. Even though Coop is super ruthless, I know he wouldn't try to do that to AP on purpose, and look at the result. Coop went down too. It was clearly a mistake, another racing incident, not the greatest decision making by Webb, but again, it all happened so fast. Who the hell am I to judge? Coop has lapped me every time I've raced him in pro racing. Next up, this will be a little bit of a quicker one. At the beginning of 450 Heat 2, we had some insane 4-wide action in the first rhythm section. Chase Sexton, Ken Roczen, Hunter Lawrence, and Justin Hill all side by side off the start. And for good measure, we had Chase Sexton and Ken Roczen almost jump into each other at the end of the rhythm. But right off the start, I thought we were going to see Chase Sexton grab the Royal Distributing Hole Shiat in his very first heat race on a Kawasaki, but he blows wide a little bit, does the double ACL tear, still kind of grabs the hole shot. But how sick is this? 4 wide in the first rhythm section. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. But Sexton barely has the lead, and he's all the way on the outside of all the 3 other guys, and to set up that next corner, he's kind of got to jump from right to left, very similar to the opening incident that we talked about between Barcia and Malcolm. And man, this right here is one of those moments that just showcases how insane of talent and bike skill these top guys like Ken Roczen have. As he's jumping directly towards Chase Sexton, I thought they were headed to the Lock Bar National, but Kenny sticks his left leg out, uses that to try to pull some of his weight to that left side, instead of continuing to drift right and jumping towards Chase Sexton. That's something that you'll sometimes see guys in Supercross do when maybe they're about to jump off the track or something like that. They'll stick their leg out to pull that weight to whichever side they need the bike to go. But amazing heads-up riding by Ken Roczen. As you get right here, super blurry. This is probably what it looked like for the average A1 fan that was just hammered in the stands, but they're pretty much making contact, but Kenny just barely pulled his bike into the other direction to where when they landed, they wouldn't just land and explode. But everything buffed out, the battle raged on, and this was just an insane exhibit of how close these guys can cut it and still be good. And ironically enough, I just realized that Vince Freezy was right behind him watching the whole thing unfold. He was probably back there getting FOMO, like, what the hell, guys? Cross-jumping is my job. Just kidding, Vince. Well, kind of. But next up, we'll get into Chase Sexton's near Endonesia to turn down for what on the face of the bridge in the second 450 heat race. And this was a tricky section. Exiting the sand, you had this little double out, and Chase was doing a bit of a Mad Skills MX wheelie scrub to be able to scrub some speed off and stay a bit lower and keep some more momentum. But doing this comes with a bit of risk, because if you put your front end too high on that next jump, then that'll send you to Endonesia, which is exactly what happened to Chase here. He was flirting with that line of how far you can put that front end on the next jump. Went a little bit too high, that kicked him into an endo, and on top of that, he jumped just a little bit too deep into the face of that bridge jump as well. And if you guys have never seen one of those in person, you can barely walk up the face of that thing. It is insanely steep. But landing into the face of the bridge, nose down, no bueno. That'll send you into a turn down for what, and down goes Chase Sexton. And it was only A1. A lot of weird stuff happens at A1, and it's a long season, so I'm not trying to judge Chase and the Kawasaki just yet, but man, not a good start to the season for either of them. And how about this super unique and wild track re-entry? I guess he kind of didn't really have a choice unless he wanted to go backwards and get another run up the bridge, but definitely a re-entry I've never seen before. And last but not least, a little nosebleed footage from yours truly in the second 450 heat race, a battle between Jason Anderson and RJ Hampshire that ended in RJ Hampshire getting absolutely fried by Hombre, taken down. And this was classic Team Fried. I actually saw this one coming a couple corners before it happened. That's why I started taking videos of him. But Anderson was making moves. He threw it up the inside before they went backwards down the start straight. Couldn't quite cut it, then turned down for what and the berm before the finish line. Super close up the finish line, almost locked bars, but still couldn't quite get the pass done. And right about here, as I freeze this frame, right as I saw Jason land the finish line, break a little bit, and pivot towards the inside, that's when I knew RJ was fried. And poor Rick, man, he probably had no idea this was coming. Everybody was funneling to the exact same line underneath the bridge, land the finish line and head towards the outside, and bank off the bridge to try to hit that triple step on, step off on the way out. But RJ hitting that main line left the door wide open for Jason Anderson to do his thing. Nothing too dirty, just clean the front wheel out, and that was that. A rough A1 for RJ Hampshire, but you guys know the deal. It's a long season, and we'll get there when it's time. But after a bit of a long-winded national, that's all I got for you guys for today's video and my Anaheim 1 breakdown. I actually really enjoyed doing that, so if you guys enjoyed watching it, please let me know in the comments if you dig it, if you hated it, if you don't like how I talk, or anything in between. All that stuff's in the contract in my comment section. But like I said at the beginning, thank you guys again for tuning in. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I got some more content from Anaheim 1 from the main events coming out tomorrow. So stay tuned. The grind never stops. I got tons of stuff in the works, and we got no choice but to keep it going. Catch you guys next time.